Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Venezuela going ahead with constitutional reform despite threats of U.S. sanctions. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Tuesday, July 18. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. The Nicolas Maduro administration says it will go ahead with a planned July 30 vote for a new constituent assembly, which would have the power to rewrite the constitution and annul the opposition-led legislature. And this is despite an announcement on Tuesday by the United States that it will institute sanctions against several of Venezuela's senior officials if the government presses on with its plans. President Donald Trump said he would take strong and swift economic actions. The U.S. administration said the sanctions are intended to pressure President Maduro to abort plans for the controversial Congress, which the opposition says would cement dictatorship. But Maduro insists the vote will be held and described the U.S. administration's threat as a brutal interventionist threat. Reports are the planned sanctions by the U.S. will be against Venezuela's Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez and Socialist Party number 2 Diosdado Cabello for alleged human rights violations. Tropical storm Dawn has weakened slightly, but the Windward Caribbean islands are keeping an eye on it. In its advisory issued at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, the National Hurricane Center in Miami said maximum sustained winds had decreased to near 40 miles per hour. However, a tropical storm warning remains in effect for Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, while a tropical storm watch remains in place for Bonaire. The government of Grenada has advised all businesses, they had advised all businesses to suspend activities by 3 p.m. on Tuesday, and full activation of the National Emergency Operations Center took effect from 6 p.m. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves urged residents to be cautious. He ordered that all emergency shelters be opened by 6 p.m. on Tuesday.
I want to ask all the shelter teams who are listening to me to make all the arrangements to be there by 6 o'clock. Remember this, though the winds are not going to be very heavy, we're going to have moderate to heavy rainfall, and we know the damage that rain has done to us recently with the landslides, the rivers overflowing their banks, all of these problems. We know the seriousness of these things. I don't have to lecture you on those things. So just be very careful.
The government of St. Lucia and Barbados have discontinued the tropical storm watch for those islands. The National Hurricane Center says the center of the storm was located near latitude 11.7 north, longitude 60.0 west at 5 p.m. Dawn was moving toward the west near 22 miles per hour, and that general motion is expected through Wednesday. On the forecast track, the center of Tropical Storm Dawn will move across the Windward Islands Tuesday night and then move westward across the southeastern Caribbean Sea on Wednesday. The storm is expected to produce total rain accumulations of 3 to 6 inches, with isolated higher amounts across Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and the southern Windward Islands through Wednesday. Interests in Trinidad and Tobago, Aruba and Curacao have been advised to monitor the progress of the storm. Meantime, regional carrier Liat announced the cancellation of several flights to the Southern Caribbean in anticipation of the impending storm. The Antigua-based carrier cancelled flights to and from Barbados, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia and Guyana. According to Liat, flights to the Northern Islands in the Eastern Caribbean chain were not affected. The airline said passengers who have been affected by the cancellations would be allowed to rebook within the next 2 weeks, with all changed fees waived. The Caribbean Airlines also announced the cancellation of several flights to Grenada. The airline, in a statement on Tuesday, said affected customers traveling on Tuesday and Wednesday would be permitted to cancel or change their reservations without any penalties. In Bermuda, voting is expected to end at 8 p.m. on Tuesday night in an election that most pundits agree will be decided by a handful of marginal seats. This despite a recent opinion poll giving the One Bermuda Alliance, the OBA, a commanding lead over the main opposition Progressive Labour Party. The OBA won the December 2012 election by just 2 seats, but later became a minority government after 2 MPs resigned to sit in the 36-seat House of Assembly as independents. That's 46,669 voters were registered to vote in Tuesday's poll. The 2 main parties ran a full slate of 36 candidates. There were also 5 independents on the ticket. And over in Guyana, Chief Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire on Monday ruled against President David Granger's interpretation of Guyana's constitution regarding the appointment of chairman of the Elections Commission. Businessman Marcel Gaskin had moved to the court for the interpretation of the Constitution under Article 161 after the first list consisting of a total of 6 persons was rejected by President Granger. Kristen McLennan of HGP Nightly News has the details.
On Monday, when Acting Chief Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire announced that there is no validity that the chairperson of GCOM be a judge, former judge, or person eligible to be a judge, rather than merely being any other fit and proper person, and that persons from each category are equally eligible for the post. Acting Chief Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire's statement is in agreement with the lawyers who represented the Guyana Bar Association and the leader of the opposition on this matter. According to the Chief Justice, the opposition leader could not be fettered to name persons from the first 2 categories, that is, a person who is a judge, former judge, or a person eligible to be a judge. Although a GCOM chairman does not necessarily have to come from the judicial category, that person is expected to have judge-like qualities and possess integrity, honesty, and impartiality. Delivering her decision on city businessman Marcel Gaskin's request for the High Court to give its interpretation of the Constitution, the Acting Chief Justice struck down all of the arguments by the Attorney General's chambers. Nightly News contacted Attorney General Basil Williams about the Acting Chief Justice's ruling.
Well, we tried to put it together. It wasn't a written judgment. The Solicitor General is trying to give me something.
And still to come in Caribbean Newsline, Mexico and Belize to formulate a human trafficking treaty. Stay with us. There's more news after the break.
Broadcasting Union and its regional and international partners at the CBU Annual General Assembly, August 21st through 24th at the British Colonial Hilton Hotel in Nassau, the Bahamas, under the theme Digital Developments in Caribbean Media. Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Dr. the Honorable Hubert Alexander Minnis, will welcome delegates during the opening ceremony. Guyana's Minister of Public Telecommunications, the Honorable Kathy Hughes, will offer a keynote address on digital developments in the region. See the launch of the UNESCO-sponsored Manual of Social Media Guidelines for Caribbean Journalists, with guest speaker Jamaica's Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn. And hear from international media players about the new developments in digital television standards in Europe, the US, and Japan. And this year's Caribbean Broadcasting Awards Gala at the Atlantis Resort Paradise Island is not to be missed. Call 246-430-1007 to book your space in the 3-day conference and exhibition. Don't miss the CBU 48th Assembly at the British Colonial Hilton Hotel in Nassau from August 21st through 24th. Discounts on flights to the Assembly on the official airline Caribbean Airlines.
It's time to explore, to feel, to love. St. Kitts, everything you've ever dreamed of, and more than you could have ever imagined. It's time to follow your heart. St. Kitts.
On the final day of the inaugural First Global Robotics Challenge, the Caribbean has shown that it has what it takes to compete and be on par with the rest of the world. Early in the day, Guyana, Haiti and St. Kitts and Nevis were ranked in the first 40 positions, with Guyana being 5th and Haiti in 10th position.
Team as a whole, we're really confident that our bot can compete with even the bots from, you would see, the first world countries. You would expect them to have these really superior bots to us, Guyana, after a world country, but regardless of that, we have a really effective bot, and I think we're able to perform well on the field. The preparation has been so difficult, but we've loved every moment of it. We spent so many nights, almost the entire night at where we meet up, building the bot, and we spent months and many late nights on this, and we're well prepared.
Near the end of the day's play, Guyana lost its 5th place position. But some of the other 17 Caribbean countries had challenges with their robots. Spokesperson for the St. Lucia and Grenada teams said despite not making it into the top 40, their experience was all worth it. That's Rasul Nahari and Nathan Best both spoke with CMC Monday night after the first day of competition.
Alliance made up of Singapore, Austria, and Indonesia.
The collaboration between the teams, and it is just a beautiful scene to see how the teams yesterday in the opening ceremony came together. They each got their moment to shine, but they each formed a globe in the end, which was just a beautiful collaboration, and it really shows the essence of this competition. Also, today was the first day of our competition rounds. We had some teams had 3 to 4 rounds, and I think they got the idea of the challenge. It is truly a challenge, and we got much to learn from this competition.
Disconnects that can happen with the robots in a competition like this. There's so many competing networks from the robot.
Cultural experience for us. We learned a lot from all the countries that were there. We got to meet the people that were in charge of this whole first global competition. They told us what they expected of us, the real purpose of why we are here at First Global, and what we hope to achieve from this event. Moving on today, where we were in the pits actually going against each other, it was fun-filled, I must say. It was packed. We did learn a lot today, even though being able to go and challenge other countries and learn from the mistakes we make and come back and improve on that was a big upside, I would see, from the events today.
Seychelles, Cuba, and Benin also
That the 2018 Summer Championships will be held in Mexico City. So I guess the Caribbean sides will be looking forward to that challenge there. Mexico and Belize are working more feverishly on formulating and signing a human trafficking treaty. The issue was put on the front burner again after a Belizean teenager was rescued from suspected traffickers by Mexican police. Press and Legal Affairs Officer at the Mexican Embassy in Belize, Hugo Juarez Carrillo, says the countries are happy to have this type of collaboration and they look forward to having a more formalized agreement.
As you know, the human trafficking is one of the cancers of the 21st century. There is people that think or have proved that this is a much profitable black business than drugs. Then I really believe that the collaboration between the two countries, or any countries, the international collaboration should be the way to combat these illegal activities. I really think that, well, Mexico and Belize, we are working on a treaty in order to have this judicial collaboration closer, to have very clear rules, and I hope that quite soon we will have a understanding about these matters.
Over in the Bahamas, former Environment and Housing Minister Kenred Dorset, who is accused of extortion, has been released from custody by the Supreme Court. He had been remanded on a charge of using his former ministerial position to extort and solicit $120,000 in bribes. His bail was set at $50,000 with 2 sureties. Fern Carey of ZNS Network News tells us more.
Supreme Court Judge Carolina Bethel granted former Cabinet Minister Kenred Dorset bail Friday after he spent a night in prison. The 46-year-old attorney was arraigned Thursday on charges of bribery, extortion, and misconduct in public office. He is accused of extorting $120,000 from businessman Jonathan Ash between March 1st and May 9th of this year in exchange for work done to remove debris from the Gladstone Road landfill following that extensive fire at the site back in March. Reporters were not invited to the defendant's bail hearing, which took place behind closed doors before Justice Bethel. When the hearing concluded some 30 minutes later, Dorset smiled as police led him out of court. He greeted his relatives and supporters who had been waiting patiently to hear the outcome. Head of Dorset's legal team, Wayne Monroe, QC.
Attorney General's office did not object to bail, and bail was granted in the amount of $50,000 with 2 sureties, the only condition being that he surrender his passport and not leave the jurisdiction without the leave of the court, which means if he has to leave and travel, he has to come to the court and get permission. This offense is one that is bailable. There's an amendment in 2014 that meant that the magistrate cannot grant bail. We've said it before. In most of these cases, when the matter comes to the Supreme Court, there's absolutely no objection to bail by the Office of the Attorney General. It's just that as a matter of law, the magistrate cannot grant bail.
Monroe also commented on documents relating to the case that are making the rounds on social media.
Some clever person put these documents out on social media that showed the witnesses. People have been approaching me saying, I know some of these people, and then I know things about them that may assist you. I had somebody approach me when I was leaving Dr. Nottage's funeral. And so I thank whoever did put it on social media, because it did publicize the names of the witnesses. And I would encourage anybody who knows the true character of the people listed as witnesses, civilians and police officers, to do get in touch with us and let us know what you know about these people.
Mr. Dorset returns to court on August 31st.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, the Windies women's captain takes a slide in the ICC ODI rankings. Stay with us. Sport is next.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the color of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
Welcome to SwiftPack, your online shopping and shipping solution. Receive the best rates, expert cargo management, and exceptional customer service. SwiftPack provides secure handling of your smallest packages to your largest cargo with speed and reliability. We invite you to use our US mailbox service, online shopping, ship air and ocean cargo from the supplier to your door. We handle it all for you. Get started now. Sign up for a free regular account or premium account, or give us a call on 440-6100. SwiftPack. You shop, we ship, you save.
Ready. It's another episode when we out on the road. This is what we love to celebrate, to celebrate. This is not Hollywood. No, we don't come out the road. Drink, drink, drink. King Baba and the guitar. Hey, hey, hey. Every fact that I go, you keep on calling me wrong name. But that's okay, cause that's my bitch. I don't understand how wearing a name tag on me. You know what to say, so call
West Indies women's captain Stephanie Taylor is no longer the world's top female ODI all-rounder after the team's wretched outing in the World Cup. The right-hander batsman managed a mere 179 runs in her 7 outings at an average of 25, while picking up 5 wickets with her off-spin at an average of 38, costing her the lofty position she held in the ICC's rankings. She was displaced as the world's leading all-rounder to slip to number 2. Australian Elsie Perry has taken over the number 1 spot after scoring 366 runs and taking 9 wickets during the first concluded preliminary phase of the World Cup. Taylor also slumped in the baton rankings, sliding 4 places to 9th, but was the only West Indies player in the top 10 as Deandra Dottin slipped from 8th to 14th. The pair were the only 2 Caribbean players in the top 20, but Chadian Nation jumped a whopping 76 places to 106th following her 172 runs at 24. The teenaged opener Hayley Matthews at 32nd, Marissa Aguilera at 36th, and left-hander Keisha Knight at 46th, with the 3 other West Indies players in the top 50. Australian Meg Lanning remains top of the batting pile, and in the bowling rankings, Taylor dropped 1 place to 3rd, with frontliner off-spinner Anisa Mohammed sliding 3 places to 10th. Left-arm spinner Chanel Daly 36th, off-spinner Matthews 38th, and fast bowler Shakira Selman 40th, seamer Tremaine Smart 44th, and leg spinner Affy Fletcher 46th round out the top 50. Staying with cricket, skipper Arjun Patel led the United States to a 6-wicket victory over Bermuda in the opening match of the triangular ICC Americas Under-19's World Cup qualifier at the Maple Leaf Cricket Club in Canada on Monday. The match had been reduced from 50 to 20 overs because of a wet outfield. Patel's unbeaten 46 from 42 balls, including 2 sixes and 2 fours, helped overhaul Bermuda's 103 for 8 with 21 balls to spare. Opener Solomon Burrows played a lone hand for Bermuda after they lost the toss and was sent in, striking 56 from 65 balls with 3 sixes and 4 fours before he was one of 4 batsmen dismissed in the final over. Apart from Burrows, Dallin Richardson with 14 and Marcus Scotland with 10 were the only other Bermuda batsmen to reach double figures. In reply, the US suffered an immediate setback when Mohak Butch was run out for naught off the second ball, but number 3 Sahil Patel, later named man of the match, teamed up to add 36 for the second wicket with Harish Eswara. That's 15 and 29 with Raymond Ramratan, 15 for the 14th wicket. Bermuda's most successful bowler was 5th change Jaden Manners, who took 2 for 10 from 3.3 overs. The head coach of the women's football program in Trinidad and Tobago, Caroline Moras, along with her entire staff, have reportedly quit their post over the non-payment of salaries. The 53-year-old Italian, who featured over 100 times as a player for her country, has apparently walked away along with countrywoman Manuela Tessa and Elizabetha Bagavnolia and Englishwoman Nicola Williams after not being paid for the last 3.5 months. The TTFA remains tight-lipped about the developments, but we get more in this CTV Sports report.
All the indicators are that the women's program is at a standstill over a series of allegations coming from the Italian connection hired to drive the program towards World Cup qualification in 2019. Head coach Carolina Morace, a former Italian national standout, has been running a very tight ship, which has rubbed several of the senior players the wrong way, which has seen several of them left out of recent squads. But now the coaches, Morace, the assistants Nicola Williams, Elisabetta Bavagnoli and Manuela Tess, who left 2 months ago, have down tools for what is deemed just cause, including unpaid wages for several months. When Tess left, she cited a lack of proper preparations of the Under-17 program on the part of the TTFA. Now the others are also crying foul. Efforts to dialogue are continuing, with the hope that an amicable solution to the problem can be worked out without too much disruption to the various programs, including the Women's Senior, the Under-20s and the Under-17 program.
Jamaica drew 1-1 with El Salvador to book their spot in the quarterfinals of the CONCACAF Gold Cup on Sunday. Playing in their final preliminary Group C contest in San Antonio, Texas, the Reggae Boys trailed through Nelson Bonilla's 15th minute striking before Darren Mattox netted from the spot just after the hour mark. With the results, Jamaica finished second in the group on 5 points behind reigning champions Mexico, who won the group by beating Caribbean outfit Curacao 2-0 in the second game of the evening. Jamaica, the losing finalists 2 years ago, will now face Canada in the Glendale on Thursday in their quarterfinal, while Mexico clashed with Honduras. Jamaica was the only Caribbean side to reach the next round, with Martinique and French Guiana failing to get out of the preliminaries. St. Lucia have pulled out of the CONCACAF Caribbean Women's Under-20 qualifiers to be held at the National Stadium in Bermuda. St. Lucia's late withdrawal has reduced Group B from 4 teams to 3, with host nation Bermuda now facing Curacao in the opening match on Wednesday night. Bermuda will play Jamaica in their second and final group match on Sunday. Jamaica face Curacao on Friday. Group matches are also being played in Haiti at the Estadio Silvio Cato and at the Dominican Republic's Estadio Juan Felix Sanchez Stadium on the same dates, with the 3 group winners joining host nation St. Kitts and Nevis in the finals from November 22nd to 26th. In Group A, Haiti will host Anguilla, Cuba and Dominica, while Dominican Republic will play in Group C against Antigua, Puerto Rico and Borneo. To volleyball now, Trinidad and Tobago's women's team suffered another heartbreaking loss to Cameroon as the curtains fell on the Grand Prix event at the Cyclone Velodrome in Couva. Spurred on by an enthusiastic crowd, the local ladies fought back twice to draw level at 2 sets all, but they ran out of gas in the decider and lost 3-2 on set. CV Sports picks up the game from the 3rd set.
Cameroon won the 3rd set by 8, 25-17. As TNT tried in vain to deny them, but the TNT ladies would stay hungry and even things up at 2 apiece, winning the 4th 25-18 to get the crowd humming again. Both teams then went for broke in the deciding 5th set, with TNT giving as much as they were receiving, but trailed early. That's because Cameroon came up with big plays when it mattered the most. TNT would have their moments as well, as they tried to keep it close at 8-6. But the indomitable Lionesses went to their main weapon, and she delivered down Main Street. From there, it was an uphill battle for the TNT ladies, as Cameroon had an answer for everything TNT threw at them. This would play out again and again as the players from the African continent inch closer to victory. That would eventually come with some more sterling play at the net, and fittingly so, as it was their defense that stood out in this one, as they prevailed 15-10 in the decider to take the match 3-2, leaving TNT with a record of 1 win and 2 defeats, while France won the group with a similar 3-2 win over Australia.
And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
It's time to explore, to feel, to love. St. Kitts, everything you've ever dreamed of, and more than you could have ever imagined. It's time to follow your heart. St. Kitts.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the color of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
Again, the major developments of this day: Venezuela going ahead with creating a constituent assembly despite a threat of U.S. sanctions. And in sport, West Indies women's captain Stephanie Taylor takes a tumble in the ICC ODI rankings. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to cornernews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and do have yourselves a good night.